Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Kinsella podcast, a show where we talk about opening up the discussion about mental health, eliminating stigma, and spreading some positivity in a world where that might be a little bit hard to find right now. Today on the show, we have Tera Gillen-Petrozzi from season 9 of the reality TV show Big Brother Canada. So Big Brother is a reality TV show, but it's arguably more of a social experiment in which 16 people move into a house together and they are completely cut off from the outside world. They actually compete in weekly competitions for safety and power. The head of household, which is a competition that they all play in, they nominate 2 people for eviction, or in other words, you're voted out of the house. The power of veto competition can be won, and it can be used to remove one of the nominees or keep them the same. Then, after this, the house votes one of the 2 out until one remains, and this process essentially repeats until one of them is crowned the winner by their peers. Tera was able to stay under the radar for the first portion of the game, but after she was evicted by her housemates, she was able to come back and fight her way to finale night. She was able to win a competition which was able to put her back into the game. And after she came back, she made her way to finale night where she took home a 3rd place finish, establishing herself as one of the greatest comeback players in the history of Big Brother. We chat about the mental aspects of playing such a daunting game such as Big Brother, as well as being mental health and wellness advocates. I am so excited for this episode. I can't wait for you all to hear it. Let's hear it for Tera Gillen-Petrozzi. There we go, recording in progress. So, real quick, Tera, thank you so much for coming on the show. This means the world. I'm super excited to have you on. I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Is it Tera Gillen-Petrozzi or Petrozzi?
Petrozzi. You had it right the first time, yeah. So that's my Italian husband.
Okay.
And it's so funny. I didn't think it was that complicated of a name, but there's actually like a YouTube video on how to pronounce my name.
It's okay, no kidding, because I actually searched your name up because of the other podcasts that you may have been on. Shout out to the ladies over at 2 Girls 1 Pod.
Yes, I love them. Yeah.
Podcast. I listened to it last night. It was brilliant. But a video came up saying how to pronounce Tera Gillen-Petrozzi. And I was like, what?
It's this YouTube guy, and he does them for like lots of people's names. Yeah. But my little cousin sent it to me, and she's like, "Okay, I think you've officially made it." And I was like, "What is this?"
You have.
And he's just like repeating, saying my name, Tera Gillen-Petrozzi.
It was really therapeutic.
Yeah. Yes. I want to meet him one day and be like, "Thanks, you did a great job."
He's got a great podcast, you might say. That's funny. So Petrozzi, and actually it's a really cool last name. It reminds me of a winery. Like perhaps you guys would own a winery in Niagara on the Lake. Have you ever been?
I wish. Yes, I love Niagara on the Lake, but we don't own a winery.
No, fair.
It'd be a lot cooler if we did.
Absolutely. Yeah, I used to work at one this past summer. It was a very interesting but fun experience at the same time.
Yeah, wineries are always fun. Although me and my husband, we're kind of like, we've explored this whole not drinking lifestyle. And since December 17th, I feel like I've maybe had 5 drinks, which is crazy.
Well, congratulations. That's excellent.
Yeah. We just kind of like took it on out of nowhere. We wanted to see what it would be like to do a sober holiday. And now it's just kind of stuck. So
that's brilliant. Well,
I don't think we'll be opening a winery in the future either.
Fair enough. So, just to introduce Tera, what I've done is I've gone into the, like on the first part of the podcast, I've introduced Big Brother, talked about that. So the listener's going to know what it is and the concept. And anyone who's a fan of you is obviously going to be watching this. And anyone who's a fan of Big Brother is hopefully going to be watching this as well. So Tera is a player on the reality TV show Big Brother Canada. She made it to the final 3 on finale night, coming in 3rd after an amazing comeback and truly one of the most amazing underdog stories in Big Brother history. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Watching you was a genuine pleasure, and we rooted for you so hard, and especially during the battle back. I remember me and Grace, we were sat on the edge of our bed, just watching and waiting, and we were like, oh my God, because do you remember the feeds went off? They didn't show it live. And so there was no leaks. There was nothing that was telling people what sort of was going on with that. So when you were able to get back into the game after that point, it was phenomenal. I remember jumping up and down, cheering. I think I cheered harder Then when I knew what you said, you would come on the show. So, it was an amazing time. So I just wanted to commend you on your success on that show. It was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a wild moment in my life. Like not even just
Absolutely.
in the game. It was a wild moment in my life.
For sure. Yeah. But also, I didn't want to have you on here just to talk about Big Brother. I know there's a
Yep.
lot of players that don't necessarily like to talk about it. What really caught my eye was the fact that you are huge about mental health and wellness and well-being. So I wanted to have you on here to talk about the wellness business that you are building up from scratch.
Yes,
So
of
we'll get into that a
course.
bit later. Congratulations on that as well. But if you're good to go, I'm good to go. If we can start off with the first question then.
Yes, absolutely. Let's go.
Awesome. So let's take it to the beginning, a very good place to start. Tell the listener about yourself. Who are you, Tera?
Oh gosh, wasn't expecting that. So my name is Tera Gillen-Petrozzi, as we discovered. And I am 38. I'm about to turn 39 this September. I am a mom of two. I grew up in LaSalle, Ontario, but I've lived all over Canada. I've always been a little fly by the seat of my pants kind of gal.
Okay, yeah.
So I've gotten to live in a lot of really cool cities in Canada, including Vancouver and Toronto and Calgary and London. So yeah, that's just kind of me in a nutshell. I recently got into the health and wellness industry, like very recently at the age of 36, 36, 37 was when it happened for me. And it was after, having both my children and my body had changed drastically, my energy levels, my hormones, like everything had just changed so much. And I knew I needed to start making changes. And it was making those changes that opened up this new way of living. So it's kind of like my little mission to help other people who might have been in my position feel healthier.
That's that's awesome. That's really cool to hear that you want to spread that light and positivity to other people.
Yes,
A big part of why I started this podcast was to not only give back to the community of mental health, which is a community that needs to be talked about a lot more often, to eliminate stigma, as well as to spread some positivity in this world, because that can be pretty hard to find right now. I mean, look around you, everything, right? Like there's so much negativity and so much horrible things happening in the world. So even if people could just have a little 40-minute to an hour podcast where they just switch off and listen and just take some positivity from our chat, right? That's sort of what I want to give to people.
I think that's so wonderful of you. And I commend you for doing that because mental health is something that I think people should just be more vocal about. Because I think there is this stigma that when we hear mental health, like we always go to like a certain extreme. But sometimes people are like just learning this about me now, but I've had high functioning anxiety for over 10 years. And for 7-8 of those years, I didn't even know what it was. So I think the more vocal people are in sharing their stories and the way that they're feeling, I think whenever we say mental health, like you always picture that kind of worst case scenario, but there's a lot of people suffering in their day to day and not having the proper coping skills or outlets to talk about how they're feeling. So I think that's great of you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and thank you for opening up about your high functioning anxiety as well. It is difficult to talk about. I totally get what you mean. I haven't talked about it with very many people. That's partially the other reason why I want to get on here and talk about that as well. So no, thank you for opening up about that. That's really cool.
Yes, and it's so once you start sharing your story, there's so many people that have the same. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
When I started talking about my anxiety, I could not get over the inboxes that I would get and be like, oh my God, I know exactly how you're feeling, or that happened to me too, or I have those same struggles. So, people out there are feeling, especially, I honestly feel more than ever. We're going on 2 years of isolation and COVID and dealing with this global pandemic and things that are going on in the world where I think now more than ever, people need to be coming together and supporting one another and talking for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tera.
No problem.
So let's start off with Big Brother then. So what was that feeling like when you knew for sure you were going to be on the show?
Oh my God. It was crazy. I literally just started bawling because I've been a huge fan of this show. I have a soft spot. I don't know what it is. I just love reality TV. And I always watch it and be like, oh, I wonder if I would be any good at it. But you always have that thought in your back of mind, like, I'm never going to do that, like I'm never going to be chosen.
Yeah.
So when I found out that I actually made the show, I just started crying. I couldn't even believe it. Like it felt like a dream come true, like just one of these once in a lifetime experiences. So it was an incredible feeling.
That's amazing. Is it like a paper, or is it like the US version where they send you a key? Or I don't know how much you can talk about that, but is there anything you can kind of give us?
So that process is very secretive,
Fair
and we're
enough.
not actually allowed to share too much of that.
No worries.
Yeah, Big Brother likes to keep you on your toes.
On your expect the unexpected, right? Expect the unexpected.
Yeah, expect the unexpected. And it was unexpected. We'll just say that.
Well, I mean, I have to say, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the show, Big Brother Canada 9 was genuinely one of my favorite seasons for
It
many
was
reasons.
it was such a wild, I'm almost done watching it back myself. And it's
Oh, you haven't watched it back like fully yet?
no, not the whole thing. It takes a long, if you watch it too soon, it's very triggering, right? Because it's almost too fresh. So I had to let time go by, and I only will just like watch a couple episodes at a time because now I can enjoy it. I don't get offended if somebody says something bad, or if you see the conversations that were happening. Like enough time has gone by where I can actually sit and enjoy it as a viewer.
I'm happy you're able to take that experience from it now.
Yeah.
I think most people would neglect to think that it would be very triggering for people just going out of the house to watch. And I even think for like people who had a pretty good experience, like Tashawn obviously being the winner, probably would still be upsetting for him to see some of the things that went down in there as well, and deal with the sort of fallout, because people can be very mean on social media, no matter who you are. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's good. I'm glad you're finally at peace with that and you're able to watch the show. That's brilliant.
I think it just takes time too, because you're able to step outside of it. Because when you're in that house, that is just like, it's your life. It's like this twisted life. So when you let some time go by, like you're able to just view it as what it is, which it's a game. When you're in there, it's hard not to take things personally, because these are people that you're living with. Like this is all that you know.
Yes.
So
it's all very heightened for sure. But like one thing that made me really enjoy the show was how incredibly diverse it was. All the incredibly diverse group of people, people from all sorts of walks of life and nationalities. It was perfect. And it really was a groundbreaking season for that. Did you ever feel like a bit of an outcast being one of the only parents in the house? Because I believe it was only you and Kiefer, right, who were parents?
Yes. Yeah. So first, quickly to touch on the diverse cast, that meant a lot to me too, because like where I'm from, like I'm from a small town. I don't have that much diversity in my every day-to-day life.
Right.
So it was such a wonderful experience for me to like meet so many different people from all over Canada and different walks of life. Because where I'm from, it's a small community, right? So that in itself was just, I feel like I learned so much in the course of 3 months. That in itself was amazing. I feel very blessed for that. But in regards to, did I feel like an outcast on the show being one of the only parents? Absolutely.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I think just because it's, when you're a parent, you're in a different stage in life. I'm a little bit older, but I was very relieved. Like I had Tina and Kiefer in there. They were also older house guests. Kiefer was also a father. So that was very helpful. But of course, it's, when you're in different stages of life with people, it can be challenging, 100%.
And it gives you something inside the game to sort of bond over that's not game, right? Because it's so easy to fall engrossed in the entire experience. Having something to bond over, such as your kids, is such a beautiful thing to be able to just take a step back from all the game talk and, truly share those experiences with other people, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Now, sort of talking about the bad aspects of the game, well, not necessarily the bad, that is the game, right? But playing in such a cutthroat game, because it is ruthless.
Ruthless.
Yeah.
It's ruthless.
No, it absolutely is. It's wild. And I think casual viewers don't get it as much, but like it's constant too. 24/7. If you tune into the live feeds, it's go, go, go constantly. You have got to be on your game every single second of every single day. So playing in such a cutthroat game, how are you able to mentally cope with the constant paranoia, lies, and backstabbing?
Oh my, it was so hard, especially because I'm a very I'm a mental health advocate and mindset and positive, but I think that people don't remember, like when you're in this setting, a lot of the things that you would normally use in your everyday life to maybe de-stress or to take away some of that relief, like you don't have access to. So for me, something, music, reading, writing, my yoga practice, working out, like just not having that can really, like, it is the hardest. It's way harder than people think it is, because you don't have any of those comforts, or even just for people, when you're having a bad day and you want to call your best friend and you want to vent and you need reassurance, you're just playing this game with these people. So although it's a very real situation, it's not necessarily the most genuine or authentic. So it's very easy, especially in the first half. I was always paranoid. I think they called me Teranoia at one point. And I was like, yeah, that's so true. And I'm not even that way I didn't expect to be that way in real life, but you're just so thrown out of your element and trying to adjust and wrap your head around things that are happening. It was wild. It was wild.
It's wild. I like that nickname though, Teranoia. You had quite a few.
Teranoia. They're like Teranoia. I'm like, somebody's always talking about me.
Yeah.
But and so that was hard too, because early on in the game, like my name got tossed around so much, but never necessarily as the target. It was just an easy name to say, being one of the older house guests, not connecting like with some of the younger house guests the way some of them else were. Like my name was always an easy one for people to say, whether I was a target or not. So that can just create paranoia because you just keep hearing your name.
And what an excellent job you did of being able to, go under the radar for the first sort of majority of that game. That was what made the underdog story really shine through. And then you started winning hard when it mattered, right? And that's what blew me away watching your game. It was awesome. But yeah, I mean, the paranoia gets to everybody, right? I think anyone's lying if they said they weren't paranoid.
No, absolutely. And even like playing under the radar in itself is hard. Like, it's funny when people like that was like, when I walked in, and I don't want to say that I didn't build relationships with anyone, but as a fan of Big Brother, within the first couple of days, if people aren't talking to you about alliances, you're not in them. Like, it's just a no brainer. And some of them, in my opinion, as watching and living in that house, some of them were really obvious. So to fly under the radar, it was a strategy that I had to adapt, where it's like, okay, people are saying my name, but how can I get them to not really look at me? That's a strategy in itself, which was also difficult.
Absolutely. I don't know how you did it. I think it's so easy for a viewer to be like, oh, I could go in there, I could do this. But then the moment you step in that house, and like you say, if you're hearing alliances names that you're not in, you're kind of in trouble, right? And you need to worm your way into that sort of situation. I don't know how you did it. I'm just so blown away that you were able to. It's so incredible. I can't believe it's so cool.
And that was another thing too, because there was alliances that, and if I had to pick one, I was very loyal to the oddballs, even though, whatever happened with that would have been the one that I chose. But when you're on the outsides, people definitely want your number. So you already know they have these strong connections with, that you would be at the bottom. So people are like, well, you're playing by yourself. You're not playing a team. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be at the bottom of your team. Like, I'm going to try by myself, I guess.
For sure. Yeah. And I think especially that resonated a lot with you when you came back into the game. You'd just been sent out and they thought they were done with Tera, but then there you come. And that's the thing. Your back was against the wall. They thought Jed had that competition in the bag, but when you walked through that door, they were genuinely surprised. And you were like, yeah, like, what's up, everybody? Watch you evict me.
Yeah. That was funny too, because I think they were very relieved when I came back in, and in my head, that was so hard to play it cool because I was mad. I was so mad because we had just pulled off this epic trap door. I was working with Kiefer and Braden and Tashawn, and we all made it go together. And then they all turned on me. So that battle, coming back in, all bets were off for me.
Seemed as though Braden wanted to take Beth out though, but he just didn't have the numbers to make it happen, which would have been the smart play at the time, but hey, it all worked out, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that was another funny thing. They were all vocal to me about that after I came back in. Do you know what I mean? They were vocal. No, but they let me know that Braden was kind of trying to go for Beth. And then they switched gears. They kind of told me that information. So
that's kind of nice of them though.
It was nice, but I was like, well, you just put Braden in a good position because I trust him more than you guys now.
Wait, so hold on. Speaking of Braden, I gotta get this question
Yeah.
to you. If you were in the final three situation where you won that final HOH, because you took Kiefer out, and I think that was the move that would have had you winning in the final two shares.
Yes.
I'll be honest. Would you have taken Tashawn out as well, just to add to that resume, or would you have taken Braden, knowing that he was sort of the person that was rallying to save you?
I would have taken Braden.
Absolutely.
That's why I knew, like, when Tashawn won, like, I knew for sure he was going to cut me. With Braden, I honestly didn't know either way. I couldn't read and now I know that he would have cut me, but I didn't know if his power move would be kind of cutting that relationship with Tashawn. Because to me, that's a bold move. You know, somebody who thinks that they have you in their pocket and then you cut them unsuspecting.
Yes.
But so I wasn't surprised when Tashawn cut me. And I think he knew that if I was in the position, I would have cut him as well. It was like, whoever is going to win is, I think we both knew that.
That mutual respect, fight it out to the end. I like that. That's awesome. So let's put a little bit of a positive spin, you know, as busy as the show may seem for casual viewers, because, you know, every single episode, there's a lot of stuff going on, but it runs 7 days a week. You know, there is a lot of downtime waiting between competitions or luxury time or parties or like the Wendy's dates, things like that. Right.
Yep.
So what were you able to do to stay occupied and have fun?
So that is one of the things that I actually think is the most challenging for anybody that wants to be on Big Brother is the amount of downtime and trying to make the day pass without the things that you would normally do. Like it's almost hard not to just be lazy and sit around and talk to people, right? Yeah. You know, there's not a lot that you can do, so you have to be creative. So I mean, in the house, like, we would do random things to pass the time, which was always so much fun, like to get creative. Like one time we did a comedy show, and one time all the guys dressed up in drag and we did like a faux fashion show. And one time in the backyard, like the backyard that has like the couches, we played baseball with like all the cushions and one of the balls from the ball pit. So you definitely do things, but it's a lot of downtime, and that can mess with you too. That was one of the things that I thought was, especially as a mom, I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be great. I'm just gonna relax. But you get so bored.
You get so tired of relaxing. It's too much of a good thing, right?
I learned how to play chess too, which was awesome. I didn't know how to play chess, and that was cool. But
great skill.
There's not a lot to do there.
Fair enough. Well, what about slop? Because I know you've talked in the past, you and Tina talked about making slop and how that was sort of a way to pass time. Like, talk to me, what does slop taste like? What's it like?
So slop is, you know, I know a thing or two about slop. I was on it for 21 days. Slop it's so hard to explain. So it's, obviously it has to have all the nutritional value because Big Brother can't cause you any like bodily harm. But so it's like kind of like one of the main ingredients is like oats, like oatmeal, but then there's other things that are in it. So you have the proper nutrients, but there's one ingredient that I can't piece what it is because we don't know. Like you have to make it, but you just have these glass jars where it's like item 1, 2, 3, like mix it this far, and then you have to like make it in that big bucket, right?
Gotcha.
So there's one ingredient that makes it gel. And it's the texture. So it's not like the taste itself it's bland, it's boring, but it's the texture. So me and Tina would laugh because we were always on slop. It takes a long time to cook it. So if you were making like muffins or something, I'm not even joking, it would take 2 hours. Or if you're making like a burger patty, like you have to like almost to the point where any other rational food would burn. It wouldn't, like you would cook it for hours just to get that mush out.
Oh, the mush, I can't, I'm feeling it in my mouth. I'm like, no, I'm a huge
that's what makes it so hard. If it just was bland, you'd be like, whatever, I can eat it. It's the and the texture. It was so funny with Tina. I would try so hard trying to make things for her where I'm like, man, you are high maintenance. She would always be like, because we would get a certain list of condiments too, like things that you could use to make it less terrible.
Like
No, it's not good.
No, well, that's the thing. Like, that's why I'm like freaking out about it because I'm a huge textures guy. Like, I can stomach a taste to an extent, but like when it comes to texture, I'm like, no, I'm out.
Yeah, no, it's the texture's the worst part, in my opinion. The texture's really bad.
But that texture sort of resonates with things like, I don't know, because I know people make like cookies with it, right? So are you saying there's like a gel element to a cookie?
No, you can like almost like cook
Okay.
the texture out, but it
Yes.
takes hours.
Gotcha. Okay.
It takes so long to like, even like we would make these little, you could either do like sweet or savory. Like you were either like, it was like a
Yeah.
pancake or a muffin, or
Yeah.
it was like a burger patty or
Right.
something like that you would make a
Mhm.
dip with, but it would just, it took so long to get out that mushy texture that you would just be
Gotcha.
slaving. So I guess it
Yeah.
was good. It was a distraction.
And you said cinnamon was something that really helped it?
Yep, cinnamon,
Yeah.
cinnamon. You put cinnamon on anything and it's better.
Fair enough. Yeah, it gets a sweet, and then there's like savory ways of preparing the slop as well. Awesome. Well, thanks for
Yep.
sharing that. That's really cool. I notice you you and Tina like to go on walks together, right? Is that something?
Yes.
But sometimes you don't get the backyard access because they're
No.
building competitions and whatever, right? So sometimes you just have to like walk around inside the house. And was that a way of sort of getting your exercise in? Because you're only allowed to work out certain days a week, right?
Yeah, so we did have like a little faux gym in the backyard, but again, that's where the competitions are built. So if they're working back there, you don't have access. So we would just get into the habit of trying to move our body, because you get very lazy. So it would be something to do, and we would go on these walks either in the backyard or in the house if the backyard was closed. And it was really cute though. It was fun. We would pretend like we were walking somewhere else. So because she lives in Newfoundland and I live in Ontario, she would take me on like imaginary hikes. If so, say we were where she lived, like
Yeah.
she would be explaining like what the terrain looks like, and the ocean is over here, and then there's this beautiful cliff. And so we would and I would like walk her through my neighborhood, like this is where I take my kids to ride a bike, and there's a pirate ship bridge.
No way.
Yeah, we would make it at least a little bit interesting. And a lot of people didn't know, but it was also a way for us, because we were kind of outcasts, to see what people were doing. So we actually had a strategy behind it though, because if you were walking around the house,
Yeah.
we would just randomly go into different rooms, and we would randomly go outside, and we would randomly go into the OLG room, and just to kind of like have your ears. So we did it to move around, but we were always trying to see who was connecting and who was talking, and if we could ever overhear something.
Try to spot any alliances.
Yeah, and people would just think we were going on our daily walk. We were like, no, we're
Actually
also
so smart. That is so smart.
I know. Me and Tina always got a bad rap. They're like, they're floating. They were like, oh, we were always, we were little like masterminds. We were just, nobody really knew what we were doing. They just thought that we were walking and hanging out.
You guys always had your eyes out. I love that. Tina's so nice. I would love the chance to talk to her. She seems so sweet.
Oh my God, she will. I will message her. She will come on. She's the best.
Thank you so much. That would be amazing. Love that. You guys still talk though? You guys still connect? That's awesome.
Yeah, so I got to go see her in the summertime. We had the best trip ever. I can't wait to go back. We haven't chatted like on FaceTime in a while, but always we have like a little messenger and Instagram and text messages going. But it's been a minute since I've actually like face-to-face chatted with her, but I love her. She's going to be my friend forever. That's
amazing. And that's so cool. You found a friend like that in an environment that's so like, harsh in a way, right? It's not exactly a good environment 80% of the time, to have found a friend in such a condition like that. It's really cool.
The thing is though, after leaving the house, I'm much closer with everybody now. Like once you're out of it, like they're all wonderful. They all, even some of the ones who are like much younger than me, I'm so impressed with the things that they're doing and that they're accomplishing. Like it really was a great group of people. It's just when you're playing a cutthroat game, you have a different relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like, obviously that argument you had with Spicy V, and now you guys seem on good terms, right? It's amazing.
I love Spicy. Yeah. I loved Spicy when we were having that argument. I was choked because I knew that when they were talking about backdooring her, that it was going to happen. And I knew that like, it's Spicy. She's going to fight to stay. I knew that like something like that would boil over. And I also respect her for fighting and doing what she thinks she has to do. In the moment, was it really hard? For sure. But the minute that I saw her when I got evicted, it was like, I was very happy to see her. Like it was water under the bridge. We had a great, even that night at our rap party, like we had just great conversation. She's a wonderful, amazing, beautiful player or person. And she was a really good player in the game. So when people are like, oh, that fight with you and Spicy V, I take it as like a badge of honor. I'm like, I survived a fight with Spicy V. Like, how many people can say that? Not
What
too
an
many.
incredible way to look at it, though.
Yes.
That's amazing.
She is fierce. I'm like, I feel like I had a couple in there.
I will say, I was heartbroken when her and Rohan went out on the same night.
Oh, me too. So
that was a tough night for fans, Tara, I can't lie.
No, it was awful. So, and I do know, like, when you're watching the show, like, there's so much that you don't see, right? Like the little alliances, like I was very close with Rohan, like so close. And a lot of people didn't know that. Even Spicy, like I never wanted to be sitting next to her on a block. Like I would have wanted to be working with her till the end, right? Yep. So you don't know, that day was also heart-wrenching. We just kept watching our allies drop. It was hard.
Absolutely. It's really hard, especially losing Tina was probably the worst part too, right?
Yes, but I feel like losing Tina was almost okay. Well, you've like pick it up. You're either or you're just going right after her. So it was really hard, but there was almost a piece of losing her where it gave me a little bit of fight. You know,
you did.
Even though I didn't win, and this might sound bad, sorry, but I love that I was responsible for getting out the two guys that essentially got Tina out. You know, I took out Jensen and Kiefer, and those are the main reasons why Tina was not in the house. So
I would argue two of the strongest men in the game, and you were responsible for taking those out. That's why I said to people, I was like, if Tara sits those final two chairs, she 100% deserves to win.
Yeah.
But this is sorry, go ahead.
No, I think to sit in those final chairs though, I like, especially at that point after the double, like, no one's taking you. So it was, I've had so many people ask, like, do you regret cutting Kiefer? And was it a very difficult decision? Absolutely. But I was setting myself up, if I was in that position, I didn't want to give them a reason not to vote for me. Like, how can you not?
Yeah, that's incredible.
I had a speech, but I didn't win that. I didn't win either one of the last two comps. And I knew it on the last comp.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew. And Tashawn just smoked me. I got two in my head, and I knew that my journey, I knew it was over.
But it's not something that would ever be. I'm obviously sad and disappointed in the moment, but I think you should look back on this experience with nothing but pride and what you did, which sort of is a cool segment to my next question here, and is how much I admired you as a viewer, because I feel like you've probably been told this a lot, but me and Grace, right? We absolutely admired how when your back was against that wall, you never gave up, like no matter what. You even won the battle back, right, and re-entered the game. So what is that feeling like to defy the odds and succeed in such a grueling moment? Because have you seen the Rocky movies?
Yes,
that's like right. Absolutely. That's like your Rocky Balboa moment. You beat the champion and you're back in the game, and you're pumping your face. It's such an incredible feeling. What's that like when you do something like that?
That moment. So to be honest, when I walked back, like when I got kicked out, and then there's just this sign, and then I go and see Jed, and I find out that we have to battle. Like, I'm not going to lie. I initially thought, I have to tell this guy everything because there's no way that I can beat him. Right. And if he's going back in, I want him to win. Right. That was my mentality. I was like, I have got to tell him everything because I didn't think that there was a chance that I could beat him. And then when we were back out there and we could hear the people inside losing their minds when they saw that we were, you know what I mean? I could hear them. And I was like, no, you give it all you got. You don't give up. And I was picturing, my kids watching this. Sometimes life is going to kick you in the teeth. Are you going to get back up? Are you going to keep trying? Are you going to give up? So in that moment, I still get goosebumps thinking about it, because I didn't think that especially what you see on the TV, that is how, like, he was up on me the whole time. Like, I would get one and he always had two. And I was like, oh my God, like, but I was like, don't look at him. Just stay focused. I still don't even understand how it happened. Like, it surprised me. And so it was this amazing moment of, wow, that's a moment. And then of course I felt terrible for setting up Jed in the first place, after getting done dirty, I was like, oh, I should. But then to go back in, it was going from like this really high moment to back to a low, because yes, you just did this incredible thing, but you're still walking back to people that don't want you there. They don't want you there.
Yeah.
So it was a super high, And then it was a low.
And then you fought even harder though. It was amazing because it never showed. Like obviously your emotions were running wild, but you never let it show just how much something like that was affecting you being at that such a low point. You ended up winning the final four veto, right? Which propelled you to finale night. No one was going to take you, and you admit that yourself.
No,
but you had to make it happen for yourself. And that was what was so admirable about watching you play the game.
Yeah. I think I knew, especially that very, when once you hit the block, you know what I mean? And you're not just a pawn, you know, you're a target, you're fighting from that point.
Right.
And I knew that all along, even when I won my first veto, when I was sitting next to Tina, like I knew that I would be going over Tina. Nobody's going to vote out Tina over me. So it did kind of develop this, you really have to fight and you just have to pick it up when you can. And also shut up when you can, because when I initially won the battle back and then I got back in the house, and it was like this high and low, like my game was all thrown off. I wasn't like that first HOH, I bombed it. I couldn't concentrate. Even the veto, like something that is endurance based. I'm a spin instructor. Like that should have been effortless for me, but I messed up my timing on the balls. Like there was so much. So then it was like, you know, Beth is imploding. Don't say anything. Like you have to be a chameleon. Like you just have to like ride those highs, win when you can. And then honestly, shut up when you can't win.
So a lot of adapting is what I'm hearing.
Oh yes. And I felt bad for Beth, but the minute that I saw her imploding, I was like, okay, Tara, just play it cool. Let her implode and cause these fights with people. And maybe you can see if you can win that next thing to get you to final three.
Yes, exactly. And you know what, like as much as, you know, seeing Beth implode like that, she's still a great person. You know what I mean? She's phenomenal. And she was the one house guest who I think caught the most sort of flack for being on the show. And I think a lot of the people who are those Twitter warriors were really going after Beth. And that is sad because she, you know, she's playing the game like we talked about, right? Like no one deserved to be attacked for anything in that house unless you're doing something, you know, deliberately awful, right? But how was that sort of getting out of the house and having that sort of experience?
So I think when anybody leaves the house, there's always somebody can say something about anyone, right? I know that we all had moments where we saw things that were said about us that, you know, was hurtful.
Yeah.
So I think that's just the nature of the beast. You can't please anyone, especially when you're recorded 24/7. You know, something that you say could be taken the wrong way, even if that's not your intention. So I think for everyone had an experience to learn and grow. And in defense to Beth, she is a very, very wonderful person. She has a very big heart. You know, and I actually think even watching back, like she was playing the game. I think people forget that who you are in real life and who you are playing a game aren't always the same person. You know, if somebody's competing, even if you look at like a really talented athlete, right? Like they might be like totally like one of those people that like talk smack and like gets in your face and but they're so competitive. But in real life, they're taking their mom to church every Sunday saying please and thank you. You know, you can never, I don't know. That's how I feel. I feel like you can't judge somebody when they're in a competitive setting because everybody plays differently. And at the end of the day, like she was making moves. She was playing Big Brother, and that's all you do.
She absolutely was playing Big Brother. And another reason for the hate that comes from that sort of fandom. I love the Big Brother fandom, right? But I also acknowledge that it is very, very toxic at points too. And I think anyone who's been on the show and even people like me who just observe, you know, I have my favorites, and a lot of it does come from that having favorites though. Beth was responsible for quite a few of the favorite house guests going out. So I think that's where a lot of people their frustration against that as well.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah. Especially if like you're cheering for someone else and you're on the other side. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. I think that
for sure
that goes into play when somebody's messing with like who your favorite person is, you're going to have a distaste for that person. I think that's very natural. But I think what's unnatural is when people take it to a different level.
Yes.
You know, you don't have to like everybody. No. You don't have to agree with anything, but when people are very hurtful, and a lot of it is too, when you can say mean things online. Like, would you say that to someone's face? I don't think so.
No.
You know, when you see some of these things, like, would somebody actually go up and say that right to your face? probably not. It's much easier to do. And so, that's another issue, like online bullying and cyberbullying and trolling, things like that. It's also not healthy.
Absolutely not. No, it's terrible. It's really terrible. That happens way too much for anyone who really goes on TV, right?
Yeah. And that's a little bit scary for me, especially as being a mom. Everything is so virtual. And you see that a lot with kids, like kids are taking their lives over things like this. Like it's not, that also affects people's mental health. So my only thing that I would say about that is, you're not going to like everybody. You're not, like, some things, like it's as old as the saying, like, if you don't have anything nice to say, maybe just don't say it.
Exactly.
And also too, like, I don't know, because some of the feedback is also good. Like some of it, even if it's negative, it helps you learn about yourself. Like I know for me, 100%, like I learned things that I didn't know about, and I have things that maybe weren't my proudest moments that I've been working on. So I'm actually grateful for some of my hate. So I do think it goes both ways.
For sure.
I just think it's like the level, like there was, my husband got a death threat on Twitter where I was like, oh.
Wait, he did? Like, seriously?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So things, yeah.
That's awful. That's seriously messed up. And again, to target someone's family like that, I don't get it. I never will understand it. And I'll surely never support it. And yeah, I'm really sorry you had to go through that. I bet that was you've got to be very headstrong to be able to not only go on the show, but to come out of it and feel positive. And like you just said, you're just working your way around to finishing the show. And now I'm the more I'm talking to you, I'm starting to really understand just how triggering that is for someone who's been on the show to kind of come down from that, especially, things like that happening to someone so that you dearly love. And I'm really sorry that happened.
Yeah. I just think it's an adjustment. And I think in my life, I've had a lot of different curveballs thrown at me. And I'm just very much the type of person where I try and find like the learning or the lesson, and maybe that might be my own way to like rationalize some of the bad things that happen in life, but it's kind of worked in my favor, because sometimes life can knock you down and you get stuck in that mode where, life isn't kind to you, or, what did it teach you? What can you take from it? Like everything has a purpose, even the really hard things.
Are you a believer that everything happens for a reason?
I think so. I mean, I don't know fully like what, if like everything's already planned, but I do think that things have a way of the universe working things out. And honestly, some of the hardest things that have happened to me, like emotionally at that time, have ended up being some of the biggest blessings in my life. And that's wild to say, because, one of them was, I lost my brother when he was 25. And that was one of the worst things I've ever gone through. But losing him is the reason why I go for things, like why I would have the courage to go for Big Brother, or why I would live in all these different cities, or why I try and show up for other people, even a terrible situation like that. And I don't want to say to anybody listening, like, I didn't feel that way in the first couple years of losing my brother, right? Grief is a beast all on its own. But yeah, when you can pull something good out of something terrible, I think that's honestly what life is about. And it makes those beautiful moments so much more special.
This is blowing me away. I just got to take a second to say thank you so much for talking about this and opening up. My deepest condolences about your brother as well.
Thank you. Of course.
This is amazing and this is really, again, why I want to do this, to talk to people from all different sorts of life experiences, and just to really know what goes on. And you're such a headstrong individual, and this was such a perfect choice to have you on something like this. And
thank you
again. This is absolutely amazing. And we'll go through a couple more Big Brother questions, and then we'll transition to wellness. Are you still okay talking about Big Brother?
Yes, for sure. Okay. Whatever. It's your show, babe. It's your show.
Thank you. No, I just know, because a lot of people don't like it, but I don't want you to feel like you're just here for Big Brother. We got to talk.
No, I love Big Brother.
You love it? Okay, good. Perfect.
Yeah.
And let's keep going. So in relation to what we've all just been through with the pandemic, how does being isolated from the world in the Big Brother house compare to the isolation we all went through in this pandemic?
Very similar. The only thing though that is really different is when you're in the Big Brother house. That was the first time in a long, long time where like I got to meet new people and hug them, and we didn't have to wear masks, and you weren't worried because there were so many things put in place to make sure that everybody was healthy. Like once we were in that bubble, we were allowed to just be essentially kind of normal again. You know, you could lay on the couch next to somebody that you literally just met. You could jump in somebody's arms, and it was fine. But it was leaving that house, and because when I left, we were in another lockdown and I had no idea. So that was a little bit of a mind where I was like, oh my God, no, I was just isolated and now I can't. It's almost like a trickery thing because you were in this house almost somewhat living normally to then go back to like, oh no, you can't see people, you can't hug people. It was bizarre.
That is really bizarre. Did they COVID tested you guys, right? While you were in there?
Oh yes. Oh, so times? Many.
Yeah.
Multiple. Yes. They were, they took every single precaution that they could because, as a fan, the season before, they had to shut down production because of the pandemic, right? That was devastating. I was so devastated for those people. But yeah, so that multiple before going, once we were in the house, because once you're in the house, you don't see anybody else. Like it's you and the house guests, there's no one. So
for sure.
Leading up to it, absolutely like multiple tests to make sure that everybody is safe at all times.
That's awesome. That was really insightful. Thank you. That's really good. Like I guess last couple questions. Do you chat with anyone from your season other than Tina? Do you keep in touch with a lot of people or not really?
Yes, absolutely. We have a group chat right now on Instagram because there's a season 10 is going on. Yeah. So the group chat is on fire these days.
Okay, I like it.
We're all watching it. We're all tuning in. Yes, of course. And I still, when I get to Toronto, I always make sure I message the boys. I've seen all of them. Spicy came and did one of my spin classes.
No way.
Yes, I still have really good relationships I send them all so much love. Like we went through this experience that we will have for the rest of our lives. And I'm nostalgic like that. Yeah. It's like, this is our dysfunctional family and I will have all of their backs until the end of time,
That's brilliant. That's amazing.
Yeah, so they're wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. Mm-hmm. So now we're underway with the new season. Who do you have? Who's winning, Tara?
Oh my God, I'm praying for the mom. I love her. I'm obsessed with her. A mom has never won. Right. What is her name? Melina? Did I say it right?
Wait, do you mean
what Tanisha? Is her name?
Tanisha, right?
Oh yes, no, because Melina was the one that got voted out.
Yeah, Melina just left.
Oh, and I loved her too. No, I mixed up their names. I really wanted to see more of her. I was so sad when she left first. I didn't want to see that, but I'm definitely hoping for the mom. Love her. I love me some Summer. I have heard that there is like a girls' alliance happening. And I'm obsessed.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know if it's like confirmed, but I heard they have a name and it's called Man Down. And I am living for it. I'm definitely, and nothing against the guys. The guys are great too, but I'm definitely girl power. I want to see if we haven't had a female winner in a long time. So
very true.
Yeah.
That's awesome. No, I honestly have a really soft spot for Kyle.
Yes. They're all great. And Kyle, because he's the podcaster, he talks about mental health, so I could see.
Yeah, but
you relate to him, right?
It was crazy though, and I'm part of like I was a little bit like kind of shocked because I started this. I've had this in my mind for a year now. It didn't work out until a couple weeks ago when I actually got it set up, and I asked you, and when you responded to me, I was jumping around my bedroom like a kid on Christmas. And so, so before the cast list came out, I actually published the first episode with Max Parker, singer-songwriter Max Parker.
Good.
And what was really funny is that like, I didn't know Kyle before. So when I saw that he was doing a podcast about mental health as well, he's sort of the same age as I am. He also has OCD, and I just relate to him a lot. Like that was really, I was kind of shocked. It was a weird, bizarre feeling, but I was like, wow, I really have to root for Kyle. Plus, Summer is from St. Catharines, which is where I live, so I kind of got to root for Summer as well. Yeah.
I love her energy. I also love the dad. He's HOH right now. I'm so bad with names.
Marty,
off the hop. Yes, I love Marty too. It's a great cast,
right?
It is a great cast. It's going to be hard to watch people go because I feel like casting did such an amazing job.
Yes.
Everybody is so different and unique. Oh my God. What is the other girl's name? Oh my gosh. Betty. I
Betty,
love me
yes.
some Betty too.
Disney, yes.
So that's, and Kyle, like Kyle, of course I would like to see Kyle go by because Kyle Moore, we had a Kyle Moore on our season. So
I know, that's so funny.
yeah, he got like, he's on the show because people mistook him for our Kyle Moore. So I think that is so cool, but it's going to be an awesome season. It's
It really
fun to
is.
watch it as a viewer now.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I say, I'm a little bit biased because obviously I'm from Canada, but I think in terms of comparing Big Brother, both BB Can knocks Big Brother US out of the water in two ways. I think in casting, and I think in the competitions. There is something that is so fresh about Big Brother Canada. And,
Yes.
I feel like, I'm not going to slander, but I feel like Big Brother US is kind of losing its traction a little bit. Yeah, that's my humble opinion, but there is something so refreshing about Big Brother Canada. And I miss going to the live shows, Tara. I really miss
I want to go to a live show now.
Have you not been to one yet?
No, I've never been to one. And that was so crazy too. When you leave the show, normally there's like well, maybe it could be a good thing because if you come out and people are booing you, that could suck.
No.
But that, there were so many different things about the experience because of COVID. I didn't even get to hug Arissa Cox. Like, it's just like this amazing, like, superhero woman. I was like, I didn't even get a squeeze.
I know. I feel so bad for the people that because leaving without an audience. And even before COVID, I think back to Adam Pike. Remember Adam Pike on season 7, right?
I've met him in Newfoundland when I went to see Tina. He is a gem.
No, I want to meet him so bad.
Oh my God, he's one of the nicest. I love me some Adam Pike, and he looks like I don't know where they find these guys, but I'm like, you all look like superheroes. He does. He's so buff. I'm like, oh my God, I thought you were handsome on TV. He's single, ladies.
Yeah,
he's single and he is gorgeous and he is very nice. So
the man that found new land, the Marine himself. Oh my God, I got a cameo from him. That's the closest I've gotten to meeting him. Do you know what Cameo is?
Yes. Yep.
For the listener, Cameo is basically a service where you pay for people to give you shout outs. Essentially, they do like a live feature now where you can actually go on and meet. So Adam, if you're doing a Cameo live, I'll pay good money to meet you, good sir.
Yes, oh my God, he's awesome. He's a great guy.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, so I think we are set here. We're going to move on to the next section about wellness then.
Yes.
How are we doing so far? Are you doing good?
Yes, absolutely.
My mic sound okay? Everything's sounding good?
Yep.
Perfect. Awesome. So when I looked at your Instagram profile for the first time post Big Brother, you used to have a quote on your Instagram bio. It's not there anymore, but it really stuck with me. And you said I went from tired to inspired. Ask me how. So how? Tell me a little bit about your wellness journey, because that was a really, really cool quote for me to hear, and it really resonated with me.
I love that you asked me because not too many people asked me how. But I did. I really went from tired to inspired. So a little backstory on me, which I don't know if a lot of people know, but I'm a mom of 2 that never actually wanted to be a mom. So my son, like my oldest son, and I love being a mom now, but I will very candidly let everybody know that my son was a whoops. It was not planned. Yeah. It was very shocking. It was very surprising. And it wasn't something that I had planned for myself. So you're obviously not a woman and not a mom, but when you have children, your body changes so much and your hormones change so much, and it's a completely different way of life. And after I love my kids, I was in this season of my life where you're supposed to be the most happy, right? Like you have this baby and, now I've got another baby and everything. I've got this wonderful husband and life is good, but I didn't feel great. I didn't feel comfortable in my skin. My energy was very low, lethargic. I wasn't making my health a priority, especially as moms. When you have little babies, they depend on everything. So your needs are always at the very bottom. So there were times like when you got young babies and toddlers, like I was surviving on like grilled cheese crust, right? Because you're just trying to keep these little humans alive and you're busy and they're hazards and you're always worried that they're going to, hurt themselves. So it was when my daughter was 2 where I was like really chatting with my husband being like, I need to make changes. Like I should be so happy and I'm not. I'm tired. I don't feel good about myself. And so I just slowly started this health and wellness journey, and it has been life-changing. And I speak about it a lot because I feel there's a lot of people that feel that way, that
Yes.
are lethargic, or even like, I could nerd out so bad right now, but somebody who has anxiety, that affects my gut. And I never even knew that there was a connection with my gut health and my mental health. So the more I started diving into taking time to take care of myself, not only because it's not just about losing weight. Like, obviously you want to feel good about the way you look, but it's so much more the way that you look, the way that you feel, the confidence that you get, the energy you get. So it really just started with being sick and tired of being sick and tired. So making those changes, making some habits. And, before having kids, I told you, I traveled all over. I used to bartend, which I used to love it. It was such a fun social job. I used to make great money bartending all over Canada, but it wasn't also the greatest environment. I drank a lot. I stayed up late. I didn't do a lot of exercise. There was a lot of things, behaviors that I had that I really had to work on. So I just started making slow changes. And once you start making them, the compound effect, like these little small choices that we make every single day, to the point now where I honestly feel I'm almost 40. I'll be 39 this year. I've never felt better. I feel like I've never been in better physical shape. I feel like, not to like boast or anything, but like, I feel like I look great for my age, my skin glows and my hair. And like, even when I look at pictures of a couple years ago, I can't get over the difference. And it's just by starting to prioritize things that are good for me, and anybody can do it.
Yeah. And you actually posted a picture today. You posted it on
yes.
for today, and I saw that transition, and congratulations on that. To achieve a state like that is absolutely phenomenal.
And that was, I remember after having kids, because you just think your body changes so much, like the body is incredible. The woman body, and how we can create these babies and just the dynamics of it. It is unbelievable, but it takes a toll on your body. And I remember thinking before, I just have to embrace this new shell and I'll never have my pre-baby body back. And now I'm honestly like, sure, do things maybe hang differently because you get stretched out and things are different, but I'm in way better shape than I was before I had kids. I'm much healthier now than before I even had children, which is wild to me.
That is very wild. I think anyone listening will take a form of inspiration from that. That's incredible.
And you can, I keep saying it. I think that you can get better with age. So the podcast that I'm coming out, it's good. It's literally, I'll give you the teaser, the name right now. It's called Better in the Second Half. And it's all about, it's all about, getting better with age and taking these experiences in life and growing from them and constantly striving to be a better person each and every day. I just think sometimes like you get better with age. I think I'm a much better human than I was a year ago, than I was 5 years ago, than I was 10 years ago. So
that's amazing. That's so insightful. Thank you for providing the background about that in your story.
Yes. And nobody knew the name. So I dropped it here first.
I
know. Nobody steal it. I'll be pissed.
Yeah. Promote it. There we go. That's
I'm
awesome.
I'm going to go secure it now.
There you go. So you talked a little bit about gut health. So a bit of my experience, I've been to 3 naturopaths throughout the course of my life. And each one has really stressed the importance of gut health. But there was one in particular that really, really provided the background for what that was all about. Because I had no idea, like you didn't really know. I had no idea there was a link between the gut and the things we fuel our body with and how that affects our mental health. So, for example, I know a bit about what I've learned, and then go ahead and, because I know you're really passionate about it as well, and then you can talk about it. The things we fuel our body, whatever that may be, eating better is going to fuel our neurotransmitters, and it can really impact the neurotransmitters in our brain. So example, things like serotonin, right? And it's really good. There's a huge correlation between what we put into our bodies and how that can impact things like anxiety or depression and things like that, right? So what have you sort of learned that you'd like to share here today?
So the gut is amazing. If you have never heard about how, like, they actually say like your gut health is like the master switch to wellness. And it's so funny. The more I start talking about gut health, the more people will tell me about their poops.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people have different digestive issues, right? Like some people either go too much or they don't go at all. And they don't realize that this affects so much in your all overall well-being. And it's all connected all the way up to our brain. They say our stomach is our second brain. So the more we learn about it, the more we can kind of start changing things. And so for me, being a busy mom and just the lifestyle always on the go, for me to say that I can, eat completely clean all the time and that I'm getting all the nutrients I need. It's not possible for me. Like I could maybe try, but I'm also human and I still am going to like poutine sometimes. Right. And I also have kids that I can make these beautiful dinners and they're going to throw it on the floor and ask me for chicken nuggets, so, and especially in the food that we have today, there's so many things that are out there that you don't know what's good and what's bad. And I think whenever it comes to your health, I never think that people should become so obsessive that they're not enjoying things either. So for me, I partnered with a brand, it's called Modere, and I'm obsessed with them because it's a wellness brand that has really good supplements to help with these things. So, make some healthy changes. And then these supplements and some of the products are just, they've honestly changed my life. So it's not even hard for me to share them because I know how they can help people.
Yeah.
And, from gut health to phytonutrition, which is so good for people who don't eat all their vegetables and all their fruits, and then from like liquid collagen, which is honestly one of the reasons why I think that I'm aging so well, to helping people lose weight. Like there's just a lot of things that I'm very excited about. And it's also a Live Clean brand. So there's certain ingredients that they will not use in their products. It's non-toxic. It's just wonderful because I don't think we all have resources to make sure that we are following strict diet. So these really help complement a healthy lifestyle.
That's amazing. So what I've really liked about following your account and like particularly, you share a lot of cool stuff on your story. You find things that inspire you and you share that. So I've been able to learn a lot about health and wellness from things that you've shared as well. So it just goes to speak about the power of social media as well and sharing all this sorts of stuff. And you use your platform in a really incredible way. Like, it feels so personal. It feels like I'm on a FaceTime with you sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no.
I think it's good too, because with social media, social media is great for however you want to consume it, but I've definitely gotten much more intentional with my platform where it's been like this long journey because I'm a little bit older, right? I don't know all the stuff. I'm learning how to do reels and make things entertaining, but I think it's good to not only be entertaining, but also to give people value. And if somebody gets to my page and they learn something about themselves or something that will make them feel better or they feel inspired, I think that's very powerful. So I'm loving the social media journey. And I'm not really, I'm definitely like an Instagram girl. Yes. I don't know how to TikTok. Twitter terrifies me.
Me too sometimes.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, you know what? If you need a tech guy, I'm your guy. I'm not to toot my own horn here. I'm not going to flex too hard, but I did AV club in high school for like a month. Good. So I'm your guy.
For like a month. Great.
Yeah, yes. I know it all. I'm good.
Good. But yeah, I think it's important too, especially when you have this position, being on a show like Big Brother Canada, where there is eyes on you. I would like to be something positive for people to see.
That's amazing. And you absolutely are. And that's sort of what I'm trying to do with my own platform as well. So it's amazing to collaborate with people who have the same sort of message, right? And I hope I'm doing a good job. I know it's little right now. It's small. And I don't have very many expectations for this, but it's just, that's not the point for me. It's if one person can listen to this talk we've had today and have some sort of positive experience from it or smile, then I've done my job. And that's what
100%.
Yeah. So I appreciate
I believe that too. Like, it's not always about, how many followers do you have or this or that. It's like, how many people do you impact? I've had so many more personal like DMs where people have like slid into my inbox saying, I didn't give up because you didn't give up, or thank you for sharing that. I've had anxiety for years, or I also felt that way as a mom, that I felt lost in my body. So to me, that's more important. It's not necessarily about having hundreds of thousands of followers. Am I connecting with people that connect with what I want to share?
Absolutely. And that's what I'm excited for that as well, to share my story on this podcast.
And just keep sharing it.
Yes.
So this is what I always say, what you seek is seeking you.
Okay.
And I believe that so wholeheartedly. So if you just stay on your course and stay true to yourself, like people are looking for content like you. People are looking for unique characteristics that you have that you can relate to. So if you stay consistent and stay motivated and really do it in a way that is in more service without expectation, I think that's when you really start to see more success from things. When there isn't, like when I share products, I'm never one of those people that is like going to be like in your inbox, like, hey, get this, get that. But I'm like, I will educate you. And if you want it, perfect. If you don't, no big deal. Still follow me. I might share something else that you'll relate with.
That you might like, to purchase in the future. For sure.
Well, or not even, it doesn't even have to be a purchase, like if somebody is like drawn to my page and then they want to listen to my podcast and I have a guest on that really resonates with them and it makes their day better, that's a win too.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people put success into like a monetary thing. And I think success is doing things that you love because you love them. And if you have the ability to do that, I don't know what else is more successful. Absolutely. In my opinion.
Yeah, no, in my opinion too. And I mean, I think I'm pretty relatable. I'm just a British Canadian kid with a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Town where mental health doesn't get talked about a lot. I'll be honest. I went through my whole life pretty much and it's never really talked about. And that's why, brings me to my next point, that we play a crucial role in shaping future generations, Tera, as a parent. And me, maybe I'll have kids one day. That'll be pretty cool. Maybe I'll be a dad. You know what I mean? So growing up, nobody seemed to put a true emphasis on mental health and well-being, but we have the power to change that. So how do you plan to install wellness and mental health discussion with your kids as they develop and grow older?
So I am the type, first, I'm going to go back to that in a second. Just hold the thought.
No problem.
I just wanted to quickly tell you, what you're doing is incredibly special, especially to be a male with a podcast from a small town that maybe doesn't have this huge following, that is going to be brave enough to talk about these things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think especially for men, I'm obviously, a lot of women relate to me and I'm very girl power, but that doesn't mean that I don't love men. And I think,
no, of course.
And I think, men deal with a lot of mental health issues, and because they're men, they don't talk about it. And I don't think that's good too. So I just want to say good for you for being brave enough to start from scratch, talking about something that's very difficult that honestly, initially, a lot of people might not understand, but you'll see how much people need it. That's so, like to Sean on Big Brother, not to go back to that, but he talks about mental health all the time. And I love, like me and Tashawn, although we didn't get along not that we didn't get along in the game, we just weren't playing with each other. But on a deep personal level, I love him so much. And I love what he puts out. And he is very open about his journey as a man talking about mental health. So I think that's very important. Well, but no, sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. And it is hard. I do find that I do struggle to open up a lot, especially when my sort of mental health was sort of bad. I did find it especially hard to talk about. And it's like, I always had an incredible support system. And I'll tell that to anybody, both with my friends, both with my family. Everything's been amazing. And I've been very, very fortunate to have it that way, because there are a lot of people and men, especially who don't have that, who are taught from such an early age that men can't cry. You can't show weakness. And that's really, it is such a horrible thing to install in somebody. And so many men, even though so many men I know, they can't talk about it. And I've been there, and I feel like now I'm way more sort of open to talking about it. And I am excited to share that podcast episode where I do go in and talk about it, because it is really hard for me, but I can put my own satirical spin on it, because that's what I, making people laugh. That's part of what I do as well. So, it's really important to talk about what's going on. Do you get what I'm saying? Type of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so you even like hit the nail on the head when you said I had a really great support system. That's why your podcast matters, because there's a lot of people out there that don't.
Right. Yes.
Not a lot of people have family and friends that are going to have real, raw, candid conversation. So there are people out there looking for that. Do you know what I mean? Like that's where and I think the more honest you are, I think that's more beautiful. Like, I don't ever want people to think like, oh my God, she's just like perfect. She never gets stressed out. She's never sad. She's like, no, No, even I remember once on Big Brother, I think it was Beth, she made a comment because I told them that I like to talk about mindset. She's like, oh, somebody who talks about mindset so much, like she's so negative. All she does is complain. And I'm like, well, yeah, just because I'm positive and I work on my mindset and I work on my mental health doesn't mean that it's not work.
Right.
I'm human, right? Yes, I am going to complain when I'm not in my normal situation. Yes, I'm going to get discouraged. Yes, I'm going to feel things, but I'm also going to get back up. I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think when people are like, I don't want anybody to ever think that my journey is just this, like, yes, it was just handed and it was so easy. No, it's hard. It's a lot of work. I work every day for my mental health, every single day. And some days aren't good. Some days I don't want to get out of bed.
Same here.
You know, some days I get like so in my head that I'm so worried about what's next that I can't even be in the moment that I'm in. So I think it's important to share the good and the bad. Like I know what it's like to get out of it and I know what it's like to be in it. So
Thank
I think
you.
that's powerful.
That helps me out a lot too. I relate to that.
Yes.
You just said I relate to that heavily. So that's incredible.
Oh, and so in regards to my kids, so my parenting style is a little, I've never spoken, I don't do baby talk. I've always spoken to my kids, like even when they were very small, like they're just like, you know, little adults.
Okay.
So I've been having hard conversations with them right from the get-go. And I think, especially as a parent, I think that's when I'll really excel is like when they're older. And I just always hope that they know that they can talk to me. You know, I might not have all the answers, but I never want them to be ashamed about how they're feeling. So that would be the main thing for my kids is just being able to listen and knowing that my kids might not be necessarily who I want them to be. I want to appreciate them for who they are. So that's like my biggest goal as like a mom is just fully accepting my children as they are and encouraging them to be their best self. And also accepting them when they're not their best self.
Of course. And I think, I think your kids will absolutely benefit from that. I'm talking from experience because my parents love me for who I am. Sometimes I have off days, sometimes I have rough times, but that never changes their opinion of me. And my biggest worry about everybody is that I was going to get like alienated or people would give up on me, but that's not going to happen. And that's something that's really important too. And I feel like I can talk to my family, my friends, my girlfriend. I feel like I can come to people about anything. So I think your approach of being able to talk about it, no matter what it is, and treating them like young adults, that is incredibly helpful coming from someone who has had that treatment my whole life as well.
Yeah. And just like letting them know that their words are valid. If anything, I want to connect with them to like help them find their gifts and their place in the world and whatever makes them unique. Like it doesn't have to be my path. Like my kids don't have to go on Big Brother. I mean, if they wanted to, I'd be like, yeah, do it. But helping them, because that's another thing, especially when I think mental health, I think there's a lot of people out there that just simply don't feel good about themselves. Like they don't feel confident in what they're doing. They don't follow, they don't have any like thing that is passionate for them. And I think it's really important to help unlock that, like your gifts, what makes you unique, what makes you proud of yourself.
That's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. This has been such a sincere chat, and it's great. It's all making sense to me now why I'm supposed to be doing this. And like we talked a little bit about it earlier, right? Learning and taking things from the bad experience. Maybe I've suffered, maybe I've gone through sometimes bad periods of mental health in order to realize that this is my calling in life, and this is what I can do to future and to help people who have been there before, right? So it's 100%. Really good, and it's all making sense to me now. It's all coming to me that I need to keep doing this podcast. I need to keep this consistent. I need to have more people on to talk about it.
Absolutely. The more people, especially the more people you chat with, the more you're gonna learn and grow and hear their experience. And even I just want you to think of like your favorite movie, not like a comedy or a rom-com, but like your favorite movie, like the character has a story. Nobody likes the movie or the book where like people want to know, like, how did you get back up? What did you do? Like Will Smith in The Pursuit of Happiness, like, if it was just a movie about somebody like, I got the first job that I ever had and I never had to struggle, nobody would care that much. People resonate with the journey. And I think people are always looking at the final destination and they're not paying attention to where they are right now and what it's leading, like not where it's leading, but where you are, what you're learning, what you're doing. We're always thinking further ahead, if that makes sense. But the best stories don't end at the top, you know, like, or like
Yeah, like
they eventually get there, like you want
yes.
them to, but they don't. It would just be like almost like a boring story if there was no struggle, if there was no plot twist, there was no drama, you
Yeah, no,
know,
absolutely.
if there was no heartbreak,
Mhm.
it would be a boring romantic movie, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge film buff. So what's your favorite movie? Do you have one or it's hard to,
Oh my God, there's so many. I don't even
right?
know. But for some, when you just said that, the first movie that I'm just gonna say the first thing that popped into my
Yeah.
mind was Forrest Gump.
Okay.
I love Forrest Gump. I don't know if that's like my favorite movie, but you said that, and that was literally
Mhm.
the first thing that came to my mind. And maybe I was just thinking because it's
Mhm.
his journey, right? And how
Yeah.
he does all this incredibly exceptional things that nobody would ever think that he could do. And the only reason that he did it, he just did one day at a time.
Yeah.
He just kept trucking
Absolutely.
along one day at a time. That's all he did.
You really did.
I don't know why that movie, I haven't seen that movie in years. It just popped in my head.
I haven't seen it in years either. That's yeah.
I'm gonna watch it again though. If it's a good movie. I'll
You know
watch
what?
it
I should watch. I'll watch it again too. I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
It's been so long. Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing. So we're coming to the end here. So I was
Mhm.
wondering. So it's time to plug, promote. So what is your wellness business? What have you got coming down the pipeline for people to enjoy?
So anybody that wants to check me out, I am on Instagram. My handle is at Tera Gillen, TeraGillen. And that's where I share a lot. I do have some things in the works, but my main project right now is my partnership with Modere and the products that I promote through them. I obviously love that. I do have some things that I've been cooking up for more future. So there will be other things coming, but definitely a podcast coming soon. I'm hoping, I don't know when, but I'm also hoping to come out with some online workshops
Okay.
to help people with their mindset.
Awesome.
I'm actually getting certified to be a life and purpose coach as we speak.
No way. I'm a life coach.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
I love learning new things. Like when I like something, I'm like, okay, what else can I learn? So I definitely have some things brewing up to help people in different aspects to feel good about themselves. So whether it's with trying to find some amazing non-toxic products that are going to make you feel amazing, or listening to my podcast, or maybe even down the road, personal coaching business, who knows? We never know. I never know. I just fly by the seat of my pants and see what happens. So if you want to come along on the journey, I put it all on Instagram. You can literally go through my entire journey. It's just me winging it.
Wow. Okay. So my final question, I'm asking everybody who comes on this podcast. So I'm asking this to everybody. So I'm really excited about this one. And I want to compare people's answers. We can take a little bit of time to think about it. But other than a mental health advocate, other than a kinesiology student, other than a huge diehard Big Brother fan, I'm also a genie, Tera. I'm a genie. Before the podcast, I was chilling in my lamp, watching some Big Brother, studying up, getting research for the podcast. So I'm a genie, and I'm here to grant you a wish. So Tera, if you could have anything in the world, what would you wish for? And it can be as little as a Tesla. It can be absolutely whatever you'd like. It could be philosophical, whatever it is that comes to mind. We can take time to think about it. I'll trim it up in the editing. It's no problem at all. What do you want more in the world?
So it's kind of a big wish.
Okay, doesn't matter.
I would wish for less division in people.
Yes.
I feel like right now, like of course I could wish for something like I'd like a pool in my backyard, but that's if I've got a legit genie wish to use here, I can get a pool later.
Yeah.
I would wish for less division in people. I think the last couple years, and especially when you see things that are going on in the world right now, like it's devastating, and there's a lot of division and there's a lot of fighting. And I think we all forget, we're all in the human race. Like we are all on this planet together. And if I could wish for anything, it would be that people were more eager to learn about one another than prove each other wrong, like stopping with like the fighting over like who's right and who's wrong, and just respecting people as they are. And, just the division, because you see that a lot, especially like I work a lot on social media. So as much as I try to stay positive, you see a lot of things on social media as well. And you see people going after each other, and like something as little and minuscule as, somebody fighting over social media to like what is happening in the Ukraine right now. Like there is so much division and things that are just not okay. And I think we're at a very unique time in life where things are able to be streamed live. You know, we can make these things aware. Like I've learned so much in the past year of things that have happened, even in our Canadian history, that I have had no idea about. So leaning into one another and rebuilding that connection is, I know that it kind of sounds like hoopla, but that is what I would wish for, honestly, because there's just so many people out there that are struggling and fighting when you could be doing so much more.
Absolutely. I think that was an amazing answer. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Also, I mean, my kids want a pool. So if you got two.
No, unlimited wishes for you, Tara. Unlimited.
Dang it. Yeah, it's perfect. I know my kids were so mad. They're like, oh, you didn't win any money. I was like, no, we're not getting that pool yet. The kids get anything monetary anyway. It doesn't even.
Fair enough. Yeah. I'm
going to use my wish. I'm going to go big. I'm going to go big.
Definitely go big. I think that's a great wish. So I guess we're coming to the end here. So Mama T, Tiger Tera, Trick Shot Tera, Tera Gillen-Petrozzi, all the nicknames you've accumulated from Big Brother. So many different cool ones. Thank you so much. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on here. This has been an amazing chat. I hope I've been a decent host for you. I hope you felt comfortable. How are
yes, you did an amazing job. And I think you need to keep doing it.
Thank you.
Keep following your heart. Tiger Tera says do it.
Tiger Tera. That's so perfect. I
will slide into your inbox in 1 year if you don't have at least 50 podcast episodes. I'll be like,
Let's do it. That's so cool. I really appreciate it though.
I'll keep you
around for a few minutes after we finish up here. But I just want to say thank you so much for the bottom of my heart for coming on. Anything you want to let the viewers know?
No, anything that I would want to say to the viewers is keep tuning in to Brandon. He's got some great things coming your way, and good vibes only.
Thank you so much, Tara. This has been the Brandon Kinsella podcast, and I'll see you soon.